local, late breaking. This is 4029 News at 4.
Well, authorities say 10 people are dead after a driver rammed a pickup truck into a crowd in New Orleans overnight. More than 30 people are hurt. The suspect is dead after a shootout with police.
And the driver was identified as 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar. The FBI is investigating it as an act of terrorism, and authorities are looking into whether others may have been involved.
The Sugar Bowl matchup set for tonight in New Orleans has been postponed. Kickoff between Georgia and Notre Dame is now set for tomorrow night at 7:45. Authorities stressing today that the Superdome is safe for spectators.
A local woman who grew up in New Orleans says this kind of event lives with you. She says she's sure her next trip home will feel different. Meanwhile, local authorities say there's no reason for concern for you and your family in our community.
We begin this half hour with a live look outside. It's been a bright and sunny start to your first day of 2025. Don't get used to it though, because a cold front is on the way. Let's get a look at that forecast now with 4029 meteorologist Melissa Hall.
Yeah, Melissa, let's talk about what people can expect overnight into tomorrow.
Well, let's start with the good news. We're going to have some mild weather tomorrow for this time of year. It's going to feel nice. Temperatures actually going to be a touch warmer than where we normally are this time of year. Today, a lot like yesterday temperature-wise, but big difference between yesterday and today. Well, those winds have calmed down and that sunshine is back in full force, my friends. It has just been absolutely gorgeous. Maybe you were getting out to take advantage of some of those New Year's Day sales. As you can see right now, it's just one of those days where you want a layer, sure, but you want the sunglasses too. Temperatures only getting into the low to mid 40s in northwest Arkansas. In the River Valley, you got closer to 50, but only a handful of you made it to 50. Now, overnight tonight, we'll have those temperatures quickly start to fall this evening. So if you are getting out, bundle up. We'll be waking up right around freezing or below freezing, but tomorrow's daytime highs a smidge warmer because of a cold front, but that's front one of two. That second one, it is going to bring the coldest air we've seen so far. I'm going to tell you more about that in a few minutes.
Oh, it was pandemonium. I mean, it was obviously emergency vehicles everywhere. Police were everywhere. Bodies, folks were just running through the streets. Obviously, they were panicking as well.
I remember the screeching and him gunning the car and the impact and the screams. Like I said, the screams of those girls. I mean, yeah, I don't know that I'll be able to forget that.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying, especially when they say on the news or, you know, when people are talking IEDs planted in the city. I'm leaving. This is my first time here, and it'll probably be my last.
We'll take a live look now in New Orleans. 10 people are dead, more than 30 hurt after authorities say a driver rammed into a crowd during a New Year's celebration.
And officials gave an update on this investigation this afternoon. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
The governor of Louisiana has issued an emergency declaration after this tragedy, and now we're learning from officials that this suspect may have had help in carrying out this attack.
New Orleans famed Bourbon Street, now a crime scene as the FBI investigates what they're calling a terror attack on New Year's Day. Federal officials identifying the suspect as 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen from Texas. Police say he rammed a rented pickup truck into a crowd of people on Bourbon Street just after 3 a.m., driving 3 blocks before crashing, then getting out and firing at police with an assault rifle. Officials say 2 officers were hurt before police shot and killed the suspect. Witnesses described the scene as gruesome.
What we saw was insanity. I mean, something out of a movie. The graphic nature of it, and it was unbelievable.
Investigators say they found an ISIS flag, weapons, and improvised explosive devices inside the truck. They're now working to determine whether he had any affiliations with terrorist organizations. The FBI says they also discovered more IEDs planted around the area in the historic French Quarter, some of which were deemed viable according to sources.
As of now, 2 IEDs have been found and rendered safe.
Police flying drones around the area searching for more potential devices. Because this was a 3-pronged attack, officials say they're working to determine whether the suspect had help.
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We're aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
They're also digging into the suspect's past, the FBI leading the investigation.
They're pulling on every thread to figure out the pattern of life of this individual just prior to this incident, the night before, the day before.
Leading up to the holidays, federal law enforcement had been warning local police around the country that vehicle ramming was a key area of concern and to be prepared for these kinds of incidents. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And we're taking a live look now from Las Vegas. Law enforcement officials say a Tesla Cybertruck explosion and fire at the entrance of the Trump Hotel in the city is also being investigated as a possible terroristic act. Authorities say at least one person is dead. 7 other people sustained what police called minor injuries. Now, we often see large crowds here at home, whether it's lights at the square or big sporting events.
Tomorrow, the Razorback women's basketball team will play LSU in Fayetteville. The assistant chief at UAPD says they do have safety plans for both people and for cars and traffic. The measures vary, of course, depending on the event and the threat level. Officers will be stationed at a command post that will be set up. They have wooden and metal barricades used to guide traffic.
We always look at events occurring both in the nation and around the world and see how that might apply to our venue and look at our plan. Our plan is a fluid plan. So if something pops up, we can say, okay, well, let's look at that scenario specifically and see what we have in place and what we might need to modify.
Mills says the university venues also use metal detectors.
Power has been restored for almost half of the people across Puerto Rico after a massive blackout plunged nearly the entire island into darkness. Puerto Rico's incoming governor says stabilizing the energy grid could be her top priority, and power outages have become common, but blackouts are rare.
I'm really frustrated by this because it's not the first time it happens.
We have to do better about the infrastructure here. This is unacceptable.
The White House issued a statement saying President Biden has been briefed on the outages. It said the president called Puerto Rico's governor to offer any federal assistance the island may need to speed up power restoration. A suspect is behind bars in Los Angeles after police say he triggered a shootout at a Target.
LAPD says the suspect was accused of shoplifting Monday. They say when employees confronted him, he became violent.
Walked out past the cash registers without paying. He was confronted by the security officers outside of the Target, where a confrontation ensued. During that scuffle, the suspect produced a pistol and fired indiscriminately. One of the armed security officers, wearing a marked uniform, also fired back, so that this was a gunfight.
2 security guards were shot. The suspect escaped. The chaos sent customers scrambling for cover.
We heard several rounds go off. And we just pretty much ran towards the back and just left our items in the car. People were crying at the moment, screaming. Everyone was just, some people were running towards the aisles. Some people were hiding towards the clothes. Everyone just started running and scattering in different directions.
Investigators made an arrest after cornering the suspect in an apartment building less than a mile away. Workers who were injured are recovering. One of the men was still in critical condition. Now, Target released a statement calling the shooting a horrible act of violence. And now an update on these lawsuits that have rocked Hollywood between actress Blake Lively suing her It Ends With Us co-star Justin Baldoni for allegedly orchestrating a smear campaign against her, and then Baldoni filing a counter lawsuit against the New York Times for libel.
ABC's Jacqueline Lee has a story from Los Angeles.
In the lawsuit filed by Baldoni, he alleges the New York Times relied on cherry-picked and altered communications meant to mislead its readers. The Times vigorously defending its reporting. The latest scandal rocking Hollywood takes another turn. Actor Justin Baldoni and 9 other co-plaintiffs suing the New York Times for $250 million in damages. Baldoni claiming libel among other allegations after the Times published a story called "We Can Bury Anyone" inside a Hollywood smear machine.
I thought we were friends.
We are friends.
In the article, Blake Lively, Baldoni's co-star in the film It Ends With Us, alleges she was the victim of a smear campaign by Baldoni and his team. The article reports on allegations that Baldoni and his studio production company Wayfarer Studios hired crisis PR manager Melissa Nathan to damage Lively's reputation by astroturfing. That's the practice of amplifying content that appears to be fan-driven but is actually manufactured by professionals. In Baldoni's lawsuit against The Times, plaintiffs allege the article's central thesis, encapsulated in a defamatory headline designed to immediately mislead the reader, is that plaintiffs orchestrated a retaliatory public relations campaign against Lively for speaking out about sexual harassment. Plaintiffs alleging that is categorically false and easily disproven. The New York Times defending its article, saying it was meticulously and responsibly reported. Lively now formally filing her own lawsuit in New York against Baldoni and others for sexual harassment. Lively alleges Baldoni's PR manager Nathan texted, "We can't write, we will destroy her. We will go to this, we will do this, and we can bury anyone." Attorneys for Nathan and Baldoni say those and other messages were taken out of context and improperly obtained. Lively's lawsuit also alleging improper behavior on the movie set, claiming defendants showed nude videos and images of women, improvised intimate scenes without consent, and criticized her weight. Baldoni's lawyer calling these accusations shameful and categorically false. The New York Times released a statement saying it reviewed thousands of pages of original documents, including the text messages and emails that the paper says it quotes accurately and at length in the article. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Stay with us for 4029 at 4 as we take a live look outside. We've got colder weather on the way. See how cool it could get in your 7-day forecast. Before that, though, a look ahead to tomorrow.
Meteorologist Majestic Storm tells us what you can expect if you're out and about tomorrow morning.
Well, tomorrow morning is going to be a good one to get outside, get some fresh air, and maybe go for a morning walk. If that's something you want to do, here's that forecast for you. A little cold early in the day, upper 20s, low 30s in northwest Arkansas. Increasing cloud coverage, though, so if you want the most amount of sunshine, you better get going sooner than later. A lot of sunshine in the forecast for the River Valley tomorrow, starting out around freezing, warming into the low 40s by 10 a.m. We have very seasonal conditions through the rest of our week, but changes are on the way. So wake up and join me tomorrow morning on 4029 News Sunrise. The show starts at 4:30 and I'll have your latest forecast. Hope to see you then.
We'll check traffic in Fayetteville. Looks good. All that construction happening isn't causing any problems. Moving to Rogers. North and southbound lanes, I believe, are clear, but let's take a look at Rogers. We won't, well, we're not looking at traffic, but the sky's clear. Let's go to Fort Smith. That's in Fayetteville. Okay, now we're in Fort Smith. Gorgeous sunshine there. No problems on the roads.
He was someone that everybody in the community always looked up to. Somebody that always brought positivity and somebody that was spiritually strong.
Let's face it, the Carters will always be alive in Plains. So we want to continue the spirit and continue the good in the world.
To go all over the world, and he could have chosen to live anywhere, but he comes back home. You know, I take it personally. I said, well, he came back home to let me know that you can do the same thing.
Former President Jimmy Carter has been praised for what he did post-presidency. A big part of his out-of-office legacy includes the Carter Work Project through Habitat for Humanity.
The former first couple helped build thousands of homes with that project. Our correspondent Christopher Salas is sharing the stories of those who worked alongside the former president.
It's hard to overstate the impact that President and Mrs. Carter have had on Habitat for Humanity.
For more than 30 years, Jimmy and Rosalind Carter teamed up with Habitat for Humanity for the Carter Work Project.
Every year we've gotten more out of a project than we put into it.
The first couple worked alongside more than 1,000 volunteers, building more than 4,400 homes in 14 different countries.
It's really inspiring and sometimes a little intimidating, and there are legendary stories of the Carter's work ethic.
Tortrina Johnson saw that work ethic firsthand, working alongside the Carters to build her home in Washington, D.C.
They never lost energy. I'm exhausted. I'm beat, muscles hurting, and they just kept going, and that made me keep going.
The former first couple's tenacity remained as they grew older, even when the 92-year-old former president became dehydrated during a build in Canada.
I asked him, what do you want me to tell the press? And he said, tell them I'm fine and get back to work.
Reckford says it's that dedication to labor and love that helped change thousands of lives and best defines the former president's impact.
The best way to honor their extraordinary legacy is for all of us to get back to work.
In Washington, I'm Christopher Salas.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Christopher. Now let's get another check of that forecast. 4029 meteorologist Melissa Hall is here with us. So Melissa, you know, the end of the week for 2025, first week, should I say, is going to be cold, but this weekend it's going to be colder.
Yes, that first full week of January is bringing some bitterly cold temperatures. So get ready for it, my friends. Right now, though, it is gorgeous outside. You see that big H over the area? That's high pressure. So what does it mean for you? It means a lot of sunshine. Doesn't matter if you're down south in the River Valley, like this gorgeous shot coming in near Winslow at Sunset Mountain. Official sunset 5:13 today. And you can already see how beautiful it is. Northwest Arkansas, you too have those beautiful skies across the area as we take a live look right outside our 4029 studio. Now, today, fairly calm, not a lot of wind at all, little light breeze out of the north. That's about to change for you though. As we get into tomorrow, we're gonna have those winds gusting 20+ miles an hour at times. Steady wind, 5-10 miles an hour, but look at where it's coming out of, the south. So we keep plenty of sunshine. Yeah, we'll have a little bit more cloud coverage in Northwest Arkansas, but we're gonna keep that southerly breeze going for the day, and we're gonna have that sunshine out there. And tomorrow, a little bit milder than where we got today. Today, we stayed below where we typically are for January the 1st, only getting into the low to mid 40s in Northwest Arkansas, which is where we are right now in the River Valley. Well, we hit 50 in Boonville. You hit it over in Tallahena, even though you've started to cool off. You see a lot of those mid 40s when you should be in the low 50s. But tomorrow, as that high pressure shifts off and gets out of here, it's going to be a very nice second day of January temperature wise. But this evening, if you're heading out, maybe you're like me, you still got to get that trash and get it out to the curb for your trash pickup day. Well, already feeling cold by 7, 8 o'clock tonight. And then tomorrow morning, all of us waking up either in the 20s or right around freezing for an overnight low. Through the day tomorrow, Northwest Arkansas, you get a little extra cloud coverage compared to down in the River Valley, but that doesn't stop us from already being almost where we are for a daytime high today by lunchtime tomorrow and finishing in the upper 40s to low 50s. Now, as that front moves through, we lose that southerly breeze and we're going to see a little bit of a cool down to finish out the work week and start the weekend. But the big cool down, it is coming from second front that's going to be arriving as we get into the second half of the weekend, and that's going to bring some overnight rain chances Saturday into Sunday. And then Sunday, well, looking right now, ladies, just like rain in our area, but we are not going to be able to avoid that cold that is coming. Overnight lows in the teens in Northwest Arkansas, also being right around freezing for daytime highs, and you're going to see those cold temperatures as well in the River Valley.
Stay up to date with the changing weather by downloading that news app in the Google Play and Apple app stores. And we hope you'll stay with us tonight.
We have more news and weather coming your way on 4029 News at 5.
Tonight, hear from a Georgia Bulldogs fan who was on the street just hours before the deadly terrorist attack took place.
Plus, hear from local law enforcement about their security efforts for major events here at home.
After a slow start to the respiratory virus season, the U.S. is kicking off 2025 with a surge in several illnesses.
We're taking a look at the latest data and learning how you can keep from getting sick. It's New Year, but we're starting 2025 with the same old viruses, several now surging across the U.S.
You put together a holiday party that's crowded and people talking loudly at one another with not much ventilation, and that's the ideal setting for spreading the respiratory viruses.
Right now, nationally, CDC surveillance of wastewater shows COVID-19 levels are high. Influenza A and RSV levels are both moderate. And the agency says cases of norovirus, also called the stomach flu or stomach bug, are also surging. Between August 1st and December 11th, there were 36% more norovirus outbreaks reported by states who shared data on this virus than in the same period last seasonal year.
Norovirus is the most common cause of gastrointestinal symptoms, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. It's really kind of a miserable illness.
A doctor with Brigham and Women's Hospital says norovirus is spread through direct contact with contaminated surfaces in other people's hands. Cleaning things like countertops and washing hands can also help the spread. They also help keep respiratory illnesses from passing between people. And the doctor says if you're sick, stay home.
Sharing is not always caring, at least when it comes to these viral infections.
We're taking a live look outside. We got a chill in the air and it's getting colder. Meteorologist Melissa Halls keeping an eye on that forecast next at 5. We'll take a look back now on today's breaking news as we wind down 4029 News at 4. Authorities say 15 people are dead after a driver rammed a pickup truck into a crowd in New Orleans overnight. More than 30 people are hurt. We know the suspect is dead after a shootout with police. And the driver was identified as a 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar. The FBI is investigating an act of terrorism. Authorities are looking into whether other people may have been involved.
And the Sugar Bowl matchup set for tonight in New Orleans has been postponed. Kickoff between Georgia and Notre Dame now set for tomorrow night at 7:45. Authorities, though, stressing today that the Superdome is safe for spectators. And in Las Vegas, law enforcement officials say a Tesla Cybertruck explosion and fire at the entrance of the Trump Hotel in the city is also being investigated as a possible terrorist attack. Where authorities there say at least one person did die and 7 others were sustained what police called minor injuries. And that is our time for 4029 News at 4. We'll be back in just a moment for more news on 4029 News at 5. Stick around.